Hi, welcome back to Manohar Academy. In this lesson, we are going to continue our discussion on interfaces, but most of the time we will code. We will understand one of the interfaces by doing some coding. But let me do a quick recap. In the previous lesson, we have seen that interfaces are reference types. So just like a class, you can create an interface by using the keyword interface. Then there is a difference between classes and classes and interfaces. The title is wrong. Sorry for that. So whenever we are creating classes, we are thinking about behavior and how to implement that behavior. But when we are talking about interfaces, we are not talking about any implementation of behavior, but just the expected behavior. So something like if the comparable interface, whenever we are writing some interface like comparable, we think that whoever is implementing this interface should have a method called compareTo. Nothing else. We don't talk about how it is implemented, what are the implementation details. So there will be contract, but it is all about method definition. Also, the interfaces can be thought of as pure abstract classes with just abstract methods. But they are not classes, as we have already said. They can be thought of abstract classes, pure abstract classes. So whenever you are inheriting or implementing a abstract class, you should provide implementation for all the abstract methods. Same is true for the interfaces. Whenever you are implementing an interface, you have to provide the implementation for every abstract method that is present in the interface. Also, we talked about two kinds of inheritance. So first one is implementation inheritance. So that's what we talked about in module 4. The complete module 4 in our playlist is about implementation inheritance, where a class extends from another class. So it inherits all the behavior, all the fields, all the members from the parent class. But coming to interface inheritance, it doesn't get any behavior or it doesn't get any members from the parent, but it only gets the abstract methods. So it has to provide the implementation for all those abstract methods. But by providing that implementation, it will be able to use the services that are available for that particular interface. So that is the benefit of implementing or conforming to a interface. You will get to use some services available for that interface. Let's see that in the code. So here, let's create our main method. Okay, I am going to create an array of persons. Let me create array of size 4. Okay, the class is not there, so let me create the class. Okay, the compilation error goes away. So this class is going to have a field string first name. So that is all it is going to have for now. And let me create a constructor which will take this first name. Also, let me create the toString method so I can print a proper message. Okay, I have created the class. Now let me add few persons to this array. Okay, I created this array and I can use arrays.sort method to sort this array. Okay, I haven't got any errors. So let me run this code. Let me see if this method sorts the person's arrays, or are we going to get any compilation error. Let's go ahead and run it. So here you can see a error that says class cast exception. We know when we get a class cast exception. Whenever you are trying to cast an object from one type to another, and if it is not of target type, we are going to get that error. So what is happening here? So the person class is there. That is what we added, person objects. It cannot be cast to comparable. So basically this sort method is expecting comparable objects. It's not expecting persons. So we need to make this person of type comparable. So for that, we are going to implement an interface. So person is going to implement the interface comparable. So this is the interface name. So now we are getting a error because whenever you are implementing an interface, you have to provide the implementation for all the abstract methods, and comparable has a abstract method called compareTo. So I am implementing that behavior. So now we have to implement the behavior. How do we sort it? How do we want to sort it? So I want to compare the first name, that is a string, to the other person's first name. So before that, I have to cast this object to a type of person. So I'm receiving an object. I can't access the fields on this object, so I have to cast it to person. Then on this person, I can access the first name. So I am comparing these two by their first name, and whatever is the output of this comparison, I have to return that. So now let me run the program. Let's see if the class cast exception goes away. Yeah, it went away. Actually, I'm not printing anything. So let me show you. So the class cast exception went away, but do we know whether the array is sorted or not? Let's print that. So I'm going to print this array of persons. This method is not there. Let me create that. I know there are only 4 objects, so I'm going to print them. So also after sorting, I want to print them again. Okay, I created array, I populated array, I am printing the array, I am sorting the array. After sorting, I am printing again. I no longer need this done. Okay, so let me run it again, and we can clearly see that before sorting they are in the order as we added. So we added Naga, Chandra, Manohar, Gandhi. So but after sorting, the array is sorted based on the logic that we have provided. But if you see the logic that we have provided, so here we are comparing two strings, and the funny thing is it itself has compareTo method. The string also has compareTo method, so the string is also comparable. That is the reason we are able to compare two strings. But now let me create a different class called employee, and this time we want to sort it by employee ID. So this is going to be a simple one, employee private long employee ID. So that is all this employee is going to have for now. And let me create the constructor and also the toString method. And let's implement the comparable. So if we are implementing that, we have to provide the implementation. So now this is the other object, other employee. So let me just write other. First thing, I'm going to cast it to a employee object. Now I'm going to compare current employee ID to other employee ID. Okay, how do I compare? So this is how I compare. So if the current employee ID, what is happening here? So if the current employee ID is greater than the other employee ID, we want to give a positive number. So by subtracting this, we get a positive number, so we are returning that. If the current employee ID is less than the other employee ID, we want to return a negative number, and this is going to take care of that. So by if you want to sort them in the ascending order, this is what you do. To sort them, if they are in the order, you give a positive number, otherwise you give a negative number. If they are equal, you have to return the 0. That is the contract of this compareTo method, which is present in the comparable interface. Let's go ahead and see that. So if you see the comparable interface, you can read about the comparable interface here. So what is the contract? So it has only one method, compareTo, and here it explains when you should return a positive number and when you should return a negative number. So compares this object with the specified object for order. So for ordering, we are using this one. So returns a negative integer, 0 or positive integer, as the object is less than, equal to, or greater than the specified object. So this is the contract, and you have to obey that contract. So now we have employee. So let me create this employee array instead of person array now. Now I am going to sort that. And I am going to print that again after sorting. Let's run it. So before sorting, the employee saw in this particular order 101, 44, 55, 11, that is the same order that we have given. But after sorting, they are sorted in the ascending order. If you want to sort them in the descending order, all that you have to do is you have to reverse this logic. So basically, you have to subtract, or you have to give the positive number and negative number accordingly. So if you do it other way around, so now if the other employee ID is greater, then we are returning a positive number. If other employee ID is less than, we are giving a negative number. So now the array will be sorted in the descending order. So here it is sorted in the descending order. So that is how we use the comparable interface. But notice one thing. So here, let me show you the employee. Here we are getting a warning. So what is that? Comparable is a raw type, and it is expecting something. So comparable is a generic type that we are going to see in a different module. Generic types, they are very important whenever you are using the collections. So again, collections is also important, but we will cover the generics and collections in a different module altogether. But for now, remember, here we are trying to compare employee objects. So we can pass this particular employee type to the comparable. We are passing the type, we are not passing any parameters, we are passing the type to this particular interface. As a result, so here we don't get other object, rather we get employee object. So you don't need to do the explicit typecasting. The typecasting is done internally by the use of generics for you. So you don't need to worry about that. If you are providing that, also the compilation error goes away, and this is the preferred way of doing. So let's do the same thing for person also. So here, let me write the person, and here we are expecting a person, and there is no harm casting person to person. So let me run it again and show you that there is no difference in the output. Okay, now one more thing. Now if I extend the class person to employee, so employee extends person, so will the employee will the employee also will be of type comparable? So let's see that. Let's generate the constructor. So remember, because the person doesn't have a default constructor, we have to provide the constructor explicitly. Also, we have to call the super method explicitly. So, but IDE will take care of that. So this is all we need. So now if I, did I create employee? Nope, I shouldn't do that. Okay, let me create the student, not employee, extending person. So now let me generate that constructor again. Now instead of person, let me do all students. So where is this person? Okay, now there is no person array, we have students array. If you see the students, student is not implementing comparable, but the person is implementing comparable. So now will the student, which is a subclass of person, will it get all the functionality that is available for comparable? Let's see that. So here we can see that even the students, why is it saying person? Okay, maybe because the toString method is saying person. I can override the toString to show you that these are students, not persons. If I run it now, so here you are able to see that the students are also sorted. So if the parent class is extending a interface, because that method is implemented in the superclass and is available for all the subclasses are also of type whatever interface the superclass is extending. So in this case, person is implementing comparable, so person is comparable, and the student who is a subclass of person, he is also comparable, because this compareTo method is inherited, so it has the implementation for the required method. So as a result, the student is also comparable. Okay, that is all from this lesson. We have learned a lot, we have coded a lot. You can get the code example, this final example, from the GitHub. I will provide the GitHub location in the description, so you can get the code from there. But in this lesson, we learned how to use comparable, what is a contract for this compareTo method. Also, we learned if you are using this diamond symbol, which is required for generics, you are directly going to get the required object. Otherwise, you have to do the typecasting, as we haven't done this here because we changed the code. But that is all from my side in this lesson. It's all about comparable interface, how implementing comparable interface help you to avail or to use the methods or the functionality or the services that are available for the comparable interface. Thank you for watching. Last but not least, if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. If you are benefited from this video, please make sure you like it and share it with your friends so that they can also watch, they can also learn. See you in the next lesson. Thank you.